What's up, fellas? I'm just sitting outside on my back porch, in my backyard, my back stoop, just relaxing. While I was sitting here, I thought about this thing that happened to me probably when I was in my 20s. I probably was about 23 or 24. And I wanted to know, what would you do with this situation? Because I also had this happen to one of my homeboys maybe about 2 years ago. So let me give you the situation. The situation with me is I had a homegirl. She was older than me. I was in my 20s. I was probably 22. She was probably maybe 26. But anyway, I didn't grow up with, siblings. So this girl and me, we kind of hit it off, and we started hanging out. We had 4 kids. She had 4, I had 4. This is when my babies were small. And so what happened was we was hanging out, we was doing everything together, where you see me, you saw her, and obviously we're not friends anymore. We ain't been friends probably for about I would say about 5 or 6 years. We stopped being friends because she's a snake. But people that are closest to you be the most jealous and envious. And by me not being, raised with people being jealous of me, I didn't notice it at first. But anyway, we hanging out for years or whatever, and then all of a sudden she tells me she has a crush on me. But she would just say little shit to me. This is way before, the LGBTQIA element of P, everything was, So she told me she had a crush on me, but she always used to say little shit like, you got a nice shape, you got a fat ass, or your butt big, or whatever, or some shit like that. And I just be like, I grew up, and all through middle school and high school, people telling me I had a big ass. My shape was fire. My shape's still fire, but it was fire still, even after having 4 babies. But anyway, she would just say little shit. And so, she finally told me, that she had a crush on me. And of course that scared me. That was not something that I was into. I kind of backed off of her, you know what I'm saying? Because at that time it was just taboo. It just wasn't my thing. And then for me, if I was gonna be into a female, I wouldn't be into her, because she was not attracted to me. She looked like her father, and that's not in a good way. So my question is to you fellas, have you ever had a man that you thought was your homeboy, like y'all was real cool, and y'all, you know what I'm saying, like your brother, chilling, whatever, y'all locked in, and then all of a sudden he expressed to you that he has feelings for you, or he's attracted to you? How would you handle that? Because I had that happen to one of my homeboys, and he didn't know how to handle it, because it kind of, for me, it made me feel like, what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? That's not something I'm into. That's not my thing. But for him it was the same way, but he just was like, yeah, I'm not into that. He told his homeboy, like, no, he didn't know really what to do. But for me, I just backed off. You know what I'm saying? I backed off. Me and her stopped being real cool and shit like that. And then I just realized when she didn't get what she wanted, she started really being like a real hater, a real hater ass bitch, like being around you, being in your face, chilling with you, and then steady talking shit behind your back. But I should have known. She talked shit about her friends that she been friend with since she was young, middle school. Of course she was gonna talk shit about me. And I didn't let her taste this cat. Yeah, she was pissed. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I think that's basically what it was. She was just a hater because, she just really wasn't my type, and I wasn't into that. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't got nothing against that. But like I said, this was back in probably the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's just like, that wasn't my thing. So for my homeboy, that wasn't his thing either. So he didn't know really how to deal with his homeboy. So he just kind of like backed off and just like, you know what I'm saying, until he gets or gets an understanding of how really to deal with him and made him feel uncomfortable. So how would you deal with that, fellas? How would you deal with it if one of your closest friends told you that they was attracted to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, would you end the friendship? Would you talk it out? Would you tell them no thank you? You know what I'm saying? We still could be cool, but that's not the way I roll. So you let me know, fellas. How would you handle that?